Hey guys, welcome back to Clinical Physio. I'm Khalid Maidan, and today we're going to be discussing a really important topic. So it seems like there's a common suggestion by many healthcare professionals that if your patient's spine or pelvis is out of alignment, it's going to cause a lot of problems, not only now, but also in the future. Is that really true? Let's get into it. Let's get clinical. So we hear this all the time, don't we? Either you're a patient and you've been told by another healthcare professional that your spine is out of alignment, or you are a healthcare professional and you're walking into your clinic that day and your first patient tells you that their spine has been out of alignment for the last 3 years. This is a major issue, not just for patients, but also for healthcare professionals. For patients, it's a really tragic story because it means that they walk around all day long trying to work out if their spine is perfectly straight, if they're sitting in a position that means that everything's perfectly in line, and it means that they're spending all day tightening up all of their back muscles to make sure that everything is nice and straight. For other healthcare professionals, it means that when they're trying to educate their patients about their spine being in or out of alignment, they have to really face the challenge of unraveling all of the issues that someone else has really convinced this patient because that patient is so worried that once again, their pelvis or spine is out of alignment. We're here to tell you that that is not the case. Let's start with a few facts as to why it's okay if your spine or pelvis is not perfectly in alignment. So fact number 1, bony landmarks in the spine or pelvis are highly variable from person to person. We don't all look the same, and those natural variances mean that actually it could be quite normal if our spines are not perfectly symmetrical. In fact, evidence shows that even on one single person, their pelvic alignment could be different by 11 degrees from right to left. How can that be perfectly aligned? Fact number 2. Our spine and pelvis changes position all day long, and there's always going to be times in the day where our spine is not perfectly straight. I could be sitting on this side. I could be sitting on this side, where therefore my spine is a little bit to the right or the left. We could be working in a position where it means we're up and down, where we're changing direction. So actually it's really normal that our spine and pelvis moves all day long, and it likes to move. Our body is really adept at dealing with different positions. But if our spine had to be in alignment all day long, if it wasn't in alignment all day long, surely that means that we would get pain all day long. If that's not the case, how can we be sure that the spine needs to be perfectly in line? And in fact, we know that there are natural variances from person to person based on their hobbies or occupation. For example, if you're left-handed and you work on a computer screen with the mouse on the left-hand side, your back muscles are going to be different on the left side. In fact, they might even be a little bit stronger because your back muscles have to support your shoulder blade, your scapula, and your trunk on that side when you're moving the mouse all day. What if you play baseball and you're a right-handed pitcher? That means that the muscles on the right side of your body are naturally going to be stronger to that on the left. But these professional athletes don't have pain all the time. And again, that's because it's okay for the spine to not be perfectly in line. And fact number 3. We know that there are people all over the world who don't have pain, even though we know that their spine is not perfectly aligned. So for example, patients who have a scoliosis. So a scoliosis is an S-shaped curve from right to left, where therefore the spine is definitely not perfectly straight. But there are so many people who have a scoliosis in life who don't have pain. And they're a clear example that if you don't have a perfect spine, it doesn't mean that it has to be painful. So why is this a problem? Well, imagine it was you who was told that your spine was not perfectly in line and you had to work all day long to make sure that it was. Number 1, that would be psychologically exhausting. It means that there's so much fear that goes on during your day because you're trying to work out and be sure that your back is perfectly in line. And if it's not perfectly in line, oh my goodness, that means I'm going to be really painful later. And number 2, it's physically exhausting. We often find that patients who've been told this have really tight back muscles because they're having to fixate and tense their muscles all day long to try and make sure that things are perfectly in line. This is compounded further when healthcare professionals order unnecessary X-rays and MRI scans to try and measure with such perfection how in line the spine and pelvis is. And when the patient is told that there's a 3-degree difference between right and left, they fixate on that 3 degrees all day long. And not only does that happen all day long, it happens all year long, and for the next 5 years and the next 10 years, until it becomes a problem that is really, really hard to untangle. So as healthcare professionals now, how do we come into this? Well, first of all, it's really important that we don't ridicule our patients if they truly think that their back has to be perfectly in line all day long. That will break your trust instantly with them. However, it does mean that we have to work hard to coach and explain to our patients that it's okay if their spine is not perfectly in line. How about some physical tips? Perhaps get your patient to do their exercises at home with their eyes closed so that they can't track if their back is perfectly in line or not. Second, you might encourage them to move or change positions during the day where their spine isn't perfectly in line and get them to think about whether it's painful or not, because if it's not, it could demonstrate to them that they don't have to have a spine or pelvis which is perfectly in line. And of course, number 3, show them the facts in this video. Show them that it's normal to have a natural variance between the right and left. And I really hope that that gives you some really good tips to help your patients who have been really scared by thinking that their spine has to be perfectly in line. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you've enjoyed it, please hit that like button for us or subscribe to the channel so that you can find more content from Clinical Physio. And you can also find us on Instagram with the account username @ClinicalPhysio. I'm Khalid Maidan, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, and we'll see you really soon right here on Clinical Physio.